Okay, so has anyone done the reading yet? I mean, I just posted this morning, so I'm assuming that you all have not. Good assumption? Okay. So we're going to go over the economic way of thinking. So this is chapter 1 and 2, and then typically you will have about 2 chapters a week to read. And we're going to go over key concepts. Now remember, you're more than welcome to take notes, but remember you do have a copy of this PowerPoint. I mean, it's in D2L, so you can, if you're one of those people that like to take notes, you can print the PowerPoint just like you would, you know what I mean, in anything. You print it 6 slides or the 3 slides, and it will give you the little note-taking sheet. You could write directly on it. So since you all, it's kind of a shift in your learning for those of you who are, you know, new to the school. If you want, you know, the PowerPoint, you can print it ahead of time, and then you have a place to take notes or add to, you know, the different sections if you want to. So I asked you guys on the first day, what is Econ? And I don't think anyone knew, right? Like, what is this Econ? No idea. So Econ is basically the study of how people use resources to satisfy their wants. Now, there's 2 different types of economics. There's macro and micro. Microeconomics is really going to be looking at the wants and needs of individuals. Macro is going to be looking at, you know, just like you learned in your science classes, small and big, it's going to be looking at society. So how are we measuring society, bigger concepts. So there really, when we're looking at economics, we have, you know, how are we going to use our resources? We're going to look at data. How are we, you know, when they say the economy's doing well, what are we using to measure that? And we're going to develop laws and theories to explain that. When we talk about resources, what's an example of a resource? What's an example of a natural resource? Water. Love it. We need water to survive, right? So water is a natural resource. Can you buy water? Yes, you can buy water at the store. Where else do you buy water? In your house, right? So you have to pay a water bill. Can you go down to the river and drink water? If you want to get dirty. Yeah, you can, right? But water is a natural resource. Yeah, Tyler?
Actually, it's really sort of just a little side fact that America is actually one of a few countries that actually puts fluoride in tap water to prevent tooth decay.
They do put fluoride, yes, and different counties put more. I think El Dorado County has a high fluoride in their water system. I'm pretty sure they're known for that. Just like when you guys were little and you got the fluoride treatment. You guys still get that? No. I asked my dentist. I was like, "You have a fluoride treatment? I want that like bubblegum flavor." She's like, "We just give that to kids." I was like, "Oh, okay." My teeth get rotten, okay. So with having certain resources, like water is a good example, you're gonna have scarcity, right? So, or maybe air conditioning, electricity is a good example. You know, you guys have heard of the rolling blackouts. So it's like everyone's using all of their energy, and then you have no energy, and it's like 120, and you're like, are you kidding me? Like, this is when I wanted it the most. So scarcity is this idea, and really we're going to talk about scarcity today in our activity. But scarcity is this idea that we have unlimited wants. So you can think of, you know, as many things as you want that you desire, but we only have limited resources. Okay, so unlimited, oh man, I don't know why this doesn't like me. Unlimited wants, but limited resources. Okay. Oh, and now it's not going to let me do that. Okay. So, basic economic principles is, okay, people have wants. So, desires that can be met by consuming products, okay? There are needs, so there are things that we need, like water, okay? Shelter is a great one. just to survive. And so scarcity is the lack of resources available to meet all human wants. Are there homeless people?
Yes.
Absolutely. Are there people that go without drinking water?
Well, yes, but they don't last long.
True, they don't last long. And most of those people, I mean, if you look at third world countries with, their water issues, it's a better place to think of with people who are struggling with water. But it's not a temporary shortage. So when we're talking about scarcity, we're not talking about you went out to buy the Bruno Mars CD at Target and they're out of it. No one buys CDs. That's a bad example. But you go to buy it, right? And it's not there. Or you go to buy my Econ book, right? It's a hot commodity. They're sold out. So that would be a temporary shortage, meaning the manufacturer is making more. This one store has it, or is out of it. It's a temporary shortage. So people make choices about what their needs and wants are. My needs and wants are probably different than your needs and wants, right? So wants are unlimited, and the great thing about wants is they're ever changing. You can change your mind as much as you want. You can want different things, tomorrow than you wanted the next day. So scarcity affects everyone. So it affects which goods and which services are provided. So a good is a physical item, like that Bruno Mars CD, and a service is work that one person does for another for pay. Who can think of a service? Huh?
Car maintenance.
Okay, a mechanic. Absolutely. What about my job?
Teaching.
Teaching. Am I getting paid? Yes, absolutely. Is it a service? Is it worth my time to have an educated youth? It's absolutely worth it. So a consumer is someone who is going to buy the good or service. Are you buying an education? Think about it. So I heard no is the first instinct because it's a free public education. But you're paying for it through taxes. Exactly. How am I getting paid? Right? There has to be a way that if I'm making money, where's that money coming from? I'm just going to print it? All teachers just going to make money for teachers and firefighters? No, but you are going to pay that in taxes. That could be your state tax. That could be a property tax. So when you are being taxed, a portion of that is going to go back to state employees. Does that make sense? And then you have a consumer, which is the person buying, and a producer, which is the person who is making the good, or in my case, providing a service. So you have 3 basic questions that every society, it doesn't matter what type of society. So we live, in a capitalist society, but if you look at other places, government plays a much higher role, such as a command society, and tells everyone what is going to be produced and how much it's produced. So every society has to answer, does not matter what type of society they're in, 3 economic questions. Okay. And question 1 is, what is going to be produced? What are we going to produce? What services are we going to offer? Okay. How many items are we producing? And it really depends on your natural resources. So for a long time, you should have learned in U.S. history, we were the #1 producer in what item? What natural resource? Huh? Tobacco? Absolutely. Cotton? There's another one when we were making railroads. Coal? Steel. The Bessemer process, you guys remember that? So we were the #1 producers in steel. So when we were, before there were roads, everyone's riding horses and making trails, we were making railroads, right? And to make a railroad, you need a lot of steel. So if you have a lot of steel, you can then, what could you do with that? Other countries are making railroads. can sell it, right? You can trade it. You can make money off of it. So it really depends on the country's natural resources. Remember in World War II, Japan was buying what good from us? We put it in our cars. Gas or crude oil. So, and then we stopped, right? We stopped selling to them, and what happened? It didn't go over very well. Pearl Harbor, right? So, so it really depends on your natural resources. We're a huge country, in comparison to a lot of different countries in this world. We have lots of natural resources. We are, a very changing. We have mountains. We have, desert valley. We have all sorts of different resources within not only just California, but us as a nation. And sometimes governments play a role, like I was saying. So sometimes governments decide what is produced and how much is produced. And sometimes it's chosen by people. So what are you buying? What are you selling? So question 2 is, how will it be produced? Okay, so where are we going to put our resources to produce these products? Okay, and this is of course influenced by natural resources. Societies adopt different approaches. Labor is huge. You need a workforce, right, in order to be able to produce goods or services. If you don't have people, you're not getting your service. Does that make sense? Any questions so far? Pretty basic, right? So are we kind of grasping what econ is? Sort of. Okay, so question 3 is, for whom is it going to be produced? Who are we going to produce these items for? Who are we going to provide these services to? Yes?
Whoever will buy it.
Whoever will buy it. Okay. What about education? Do we provide a free education to adults? No. So that's something, right? That's a perfect example of something, is that once you're, a certain age, or you get a free education for so long, and then if you don't earn a high school diploma, you're going to adult education, which costs money, or you're going to college, which costs money. So now it's shifting from that, tax or that free education to something that you yourself are going to pay for. So you have to really decide, who are you going to produce these things for? What is your limit? How much are you going to produce? What does that look like? And how are you going to determine? So this was an example, a person's share. So we're, in education, we're doing it by age pretty much. And how are they being delivered? Okay, so this is kind of hard to see. But factors of production. So you're going to have land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. What's entrepreneurship? Starting your own business. Ding, ding, ding. So entrepreneurship is that, like, creativity, that idea, Steve Jobs, there's that new movie that's coming out about Steve Jobs. He was an entrepreneur. Okay. And then you know what land is, right? Labor's people. Capital is going to be your resources. So for me as an educator, this book is capital. It's going to help me do my job. I need this to do my job. For a farmer, what would be capital? Land. So land, he already has land, or she has land. But what would they need for the land? A tractor, some sort of machinery, right? So that machinery is going to cost him a little money up front, but it's going to make him a lot more money in the end. So that's capital. That's an investment. I think this guy has a wheelbarrow as his capital. Okay, so land means natural resources. Okay, Catherine brought up a great one, water. It's one of my first ones as well. Forest, okay. Wildlife, mineral deposits. Labor is going to be humans, okay, used to make products. And we're going to take robots and machines out for a minute. And don't just think about labor as in people, but they do, machinery does play a part or robots do play a part in what we're going to talk about in a second. Also, with labor, it's mental and physical. And so I just wanted to make sure that you're thinking of that. So you don't always have to be the strongest person to make, right, to be valued in labor, but you could also be the smartest person and you're just as valuable, right? Okay, and then, did I skip one? Oh, capital. So capital is a producer's physical resources. So like we were saying, tools, machines, offices, okay? This is one that I would recommend you guys write down because a lot of people forget or get confused with what capital is. And then they're like, you see the word capital and you're like Sacramento? Like the capital? No, it's not that capital. So a producer's physical resources. And then we have entrepreneurship, right? So a vision, willingness to take risks, to be that kind of trailblazer, and basically you're going to come up with a new idea, a new product, but without that, then you don't, if you don't have someone creating new stuff, new products, you don't have that competition, right? So if someone just made me use that Econ book, then Econ Alive, which is the company that we're using, would not create that. They wouldn't, they'd be like, oh, whatever, this book teaches econ, done, it's fine. There has to be some competition. And then I'm using this book this year, and then I'll go back to all the districts, we have our textbook adoption and say, hey, I use this book, it's really good, we should buy it for the whole district. And then everyone will start looking at it. So you have to have that kind of competition. So there's two different factors of economic decisions. So one is incentives, and that benefits and encourages people to act in a certain way. And then one is utility, and the utility is like that gratification that you're getting from using that item. So I have these lollipops, and if I gave you one lollipop, how excited would you be? Pretty excited, right? So your utility would be pretty high. Now if I gave you 2 lollipops, so let's say my incentive, it's going to cost, let's say it costs me like 50 cents. So I'm going to now spend, so Jalen, I'm going to give you another lollipop. What is your utility? Is it higher? Yeah. It's higher. Now I'm going to give you another one. Is it higher? And another one. Now I'm going to give you 100 lollipops. Is your utility high? Huh?
I said you could also pay for my gym.
But is your utility, does it keep going up? I'm going to give you 1,000 lollipops. Is your utility still going up? You're more excited with every single one? No, right? Utility at some point in time, it's not worth it. The incentive is not worth it, right? Like if I gave her 5 lollipops, she'd probably be really excited. But once I start giving her 1,000, she's like, what? She's like, I don't want all these lollipops. Like, what am I going to do with these? I can only give them away for so long. So the incentive, it starts to diminish, right? Your incentive is like, why would I buy another lollipop? I have 1,000 at home. So you have to watch the difference between an incentive and a utility, so that gratification. Okay. So different people have different motivations for choice. Okay, these are going to be motivated by incentives. So this really goes back to this idea of your wants and needs, right? If you would rather have a gift certificate to Mac for $100 versus a lollipop, then, you know what I mean, your utility and your incentive would be different. So it's really up to the people. And then they outweigh cost against benefits. And we're going to talk about but we're going to do an activity that kind of reiterates this. So factor 2 is there's no such thing as a free lunch. Have you heard of that saying? Do you believe it? Or do you think there is such a thing? How many of you think, sometimes there's such a thing as a free lunch? No one.
Well, under very special circumstances, I guess.
Okay.
If you were to say, say you wanted a meal, if you were possibly, if you had to go hunting, say, then if you were able to make what you need to hunt out of basically everything around you without spending anything on any resources, then theoretically you could get a completely free lunch. If you were, but you would have to cook it without any fuel or anything like that.
Okay, let's say you can cook it with a fire. That's fine. You build a fire. Here's the thing: is you are still sacrificing something. What are you sacrificing? Huh? Your safety. Possibly. Depends on how into you are. You're sacrificing your time. So one of the big things in Econ is when you are thinking about, and we'll come across this a lot, is when you're thinking about that, to eat that lunch, especially if you just went to hunt your lunch, you've now sacrificed a lot of your time. And your time is the one thing, this is like the best lesson for you, seniors, time is like the one thing that you have. And that's what you're going to be negotiating with the rest of your life. So is it worth my time to do this job in order so that I can live the lifestyle that I live? Is it worth my time? I spread my paychecks out for 12 months, or you could do it 10 months. But I'm like, and I have to save. That sounds awful. So I'd rather have a smaller paycheck, for 12 months than have a larger paycheck for 10 months. So you're always going to negotiate your time. Should I go to this party, or should I do my econ homework? Well, if I don't do my econ homework, I might not pass the class. But if I go to this party, I'll have a lot of fun, and that's worth it. So you're always going to be negotiating with something. And a lot of times it is going to be money as well. Should I buy this new pair of shoes? Should I put this, money in towards a tank of gas? Okay, so that is what is called. Sure, you can walk with those. So that's called a trade-off. Okay, it's the alternate that people give up when they make a choice, right? So if we're talking about your new shoes, okay, let's say you have $50. You're going to buy $50 worth of shoes or get $50 worth of gas. You decide to do the shoes because you know you can walk in them. Your gas is sacrifice, right? That's the alternative that you're giving up, okay? Okay, so I already kind of gave you an example, but Jessica wants to earn a college credit over the summer. So a semester-long university offers more credits, or a 6-week high school course leaves her more time for vacation. So one is going to be a trade-off. So the trade-off is going to be whatever one she doesn't pick. Okay? Which is based on personal preference. If you want to go to vacation, then if you don't have money to go on a vacation, then it makes more sense to earn the credits. Opportunity cost is the value of the next best thing. So, thinking that we might do my little activity. So, an example of opportunity cost is Dan is going to choose to work for 6 months so that he can travel for 6 months. So he is giving up 6 months of travel or 6 months of salary of income so that he can travel. Does that make sense? So you always have an opportunity cost. And we're gonna do an activity that talks about this. Done. We're done. How do I pause it? I'm gonna resume. And full. Okay. So you guys get opportunity cost. We're gonna skip that. So you can create a cost-benefit analysis in order to examine like which items would be more beneficial. Okay? So in our example that we just did, who could tell me if we were making a cost-benefit analysis, like what would be a negative thing of getting the lollipops? Cavities, right? Tooth decay. What would be a positive thing of having the lollipops?
Getting fluoride treatment.
Getting fluoride treatment at your dentist, okay. What else? They taste good, so the satisfaction of having them. Absolutely, the taste. Yeah. What? You make friends, so like if you need to buy your friends, you have some lollipops. You can, like maybe if you're getting a little tired, then you might, you have some sugar in your lollipop, help you like study for your exam. But so you can make a cost benefit analysis, okay, for your choices. So there are marginal costs and marginal benefits. So marginal cost is the additional cost of using one more unit of a good or service, and the benefit is additional benefit using one more good or service. So same thing that we were kind of talking about, cost for price versus benefit satisfaction. The production possibilities curve, the PPC, is something that is very common, and you guys will need to be able to identify these on a quiz. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And it's also referred to as the production possibilities frontier. You'll see these two used interchangeably. And it's based on these assumptions. I'm going to go over what it is. Actually, I'm going to have this really awesome teacher teach you. Resources are fixed, so you can't get any more resources. All resources are fully being used, so no one, like your labor, no one's sick, okay? Or no one has a broken leg. Everything and everyone is being used. Only two things can be produced at once. And technology is fixed. Remember how I told you we were going to come back to that technology idea? So, I'm going to show you.
How you doing? This is Mr. Clifford. This is ACDC Econ. Key concepts in 60 seconds. We're going to look at the production possibilities curve, constant and increasing opportunity cost. Here we go. Good. Notice pizza and calzones. Calzones are like a pizza that's folded in half. The resources are identical. So take a look. Because when I want to produce each one of these calzones, I give up one of these pizzas. Another calzone, I give another one. Another calzone, I give another one. Another one. The result is, as you can see, is constant opportunity cost. Right? There's a 1-to-1 ratio between calzone and pizzas. Most importantly, this is a straight line. Constant opportunity cost. Now look down here. Pizzas and robots, not going to be constant opportunity cost because the resources are not easily adaptable to both goods. Good, take a look. The first unit's here. If I make all pizzas, I'm going to get 30 pizzas. No robots. First robot, I'm going to get 29 pizzas. Next one, I'm going to get, let's say, 25. Next one, I'm going to get 17. Last one, I'm going to get all robots, no pizzas. Connect the dots. Boom, what do I have? I have increasing opportunity cost. Increasing opportunity cost. That's done. 60 seconds. Now, bonus round. Why? Here's why. Let's slow it down. The very first robot I make, I only give up one pizza. And the reason why is I'm going to take the resources that are better suited towards making robots. At this combination, let's call that combination A. Because I'm putting all my resources in making pizzas. All my workers, all my resources making pizzas. Including resources that are better at making robots. So So when I produce my first robot, I'm going to take out my engineers, my PhDs, all those people that make the first robot. I get one robot. I don't give up very much pizzas. In fact, they're not particularly good at pizzas. That's all I give up. When I produce my next robot, well, I'm going to take other resources, people with master's degrees in Econ and stuff like, or in engineering. Good. And so, as you can see, take a look, I get another robot, but now I give up, in this case, I give up 4 pizzas. Again, because the resources weren't that good at making pizzas. I mean, they were better than those first resources. When I produce another one, I'm going now from 2 to 3. Take a look. I'm going to give up now. I'm going to give up even more. I gave up 1 the first time, then I gave up 4. Now I'm giving up 10. So increasing opportunity cost. In this last one, now I'm giving up from 15 down to 0. I'm giving a whole lot of pizzas, and here's why. So when I decide to make this last robot, I'm putting all resources into making robots, including people like pizza makers, people who are better at making pizzas. So I got Luigi. He says, "Oh, Cheesy, I make a pizza for you, huh? He's making a good pizza, but now I gotta make a robot." He's not very happy about that, right? So we lose all these pizzas because Luigi was better at making pizzas, and we only gain 1 robot. Increasing opportunity cost, vote out, constant opportunity cost, straight line PPC. Now you got it. Until next time.
Okay.
Honestly, that was the most confusing thing I've ever seen.
Okay, so I'm gonna break it down. So when you're looking at pizza and calzones, yeah, Tyler.
Is it the same? Why doesn't he just make pizza making robots?
I don't know. So pizza versus calzones, right? Calzone is very similar to a pizza, right? Because you're going to use the same resources, same kind of products. So you're going to have a constant opportunity cost. So this is constant, meaning it's not curved or arched. It's a straight line. Does that make sense? So when you give up 1 pizza, you're going to gain a calzone. Okay? Give up another pizza, you're going to gain a calzone. Give up a pizza, gain a calzone. Make sense? Like graphing 101? Okay. So when we're talking about this one and how it's bowed, like he was talking about, so pizza and robots, those 2 totally different things, right, that you're going to produce. So what he was saying is when he takes out and he makes 1 robot, you are going to have, he's going to pull out his engineers, right, his PhDs, his like smarty pants, okay? He's going to pull out those people from making pizzas. Then, if he's going to pull out another one, let's say that he's going to pull out anyone who has a college degree. Probably going to be better at making robots than, pizzas. They can make pizzas. That'll be more effective. So you're going to have, when you have different, okay, you're going to have an arced curve. Now, we talked about technology, okay? Hopefully my smartboard lets me write. No, it doesn't. Is it because I'm in a video? I wonder. Let's see if I can just write on this. Okay, so, no. Oh, yes, perfect. So let's say we're talking about, here's our curve, okay? Let's say we're talking about increasing technology. Where do you think I'm going to put a dot? We increase technology. Remember, originally we said that that was going to be fixed.
Wouldn't you start at 0?
Yes? Class? What do you think?
Stop here.
Do you think? So here, it's kind of a trick question. If you change technology, do you want to try, Tyler?
Well, it's where we start. It would be assuming that we have, how many robots we already have. That's where we would start.
Yeah. So let's say we take Tyler's idea and we make robots.
Or pizzas.
Or pizzas, whatever.
Or both.
We are going to change the curve, and we're going to shift it outward. Does that make sense? So you are totally changing, because now, right, you can make more with the same resources that you had. You just made the robots, so now you're going to use the robots to make the pizzas or make more robots, and now you can do more. Same with labor. So let's say there's a population boom. You guys all have heard of the baby boomers, right? So there's a huge population boom. It's going to increase your labor, and now you have a bigger workforce that you can make more products with. So it's shifty. What happens when the what's that? SARS, right? That's the one that's like you die from, and it's SARS, right? There's an outbreak of 10 years ago in China. Okay, so let's say there's an outbreak of SARS, and half of our population dies. We're going to be inside, right? We're not going to be able to utilize all of these. Does that make sense? But typically, okay, if we stick with if everything is fixed, you're going to end up somewhere on this first frontier line, curve. Does that make sense? You're going to stay somewhere in there. But you're going to be giving up either pizzas or robots. Make sense? I'll show you. I have another example in my PowerPoint. Okay. Here are my examples of X and A. So it's going to run through two extremes, okay, B and C, of producing one item over the other, okay. If you are going to produce guns, okay, you're not going to produce as much butter if you're looking at B. If you're going to produce more butter, okay, then you're not going to produce as many guns. Does that make sense? And then if you're kind of looking to split, you're going to be somewhere on the line. Does that make sense?
It's a scientific factor.
It's like an economic principle. Yeah. So, are you talking about guns versus butter?
Yeah.
Okay, so the analogy with guns, what does guns represent? Military, killing. So if you're looking at like a nation, if you're saying like, oh, we're at war, we're going to produce more guns. And then butter is what? It's a general term for, consumer goods. So, if you're producing, if your focus is producing military, whether that's weapons, whether, whatever it is, then it changes how many consumer goods. Or you might take factories and build more, guns than the consumer products. So it's kind of a generic term. You're like, why is she talking about butter? Ridiculous. This shows the opportunity cost of each, right? The opportunity cost, there's two. So if you produce more guns, your opportunity cost is what? What's your opportunity cost?
The item you gave up to get your first choice.
Which is? Butter. Okay? So we're only producing two items. So it's going to be butter for sure. If you produce more butter, what is your opportunity cost? Less? Guns. Cha-ching. You guys got it. Okay. Efficiency, the whole goal of this economic concept is you're going to produce the maximum of goods and services that you possibly can, okay? And if you are not doing that, you are underutilizing your services or goods, your labor, your capital, whatever it is. Make sense? They're kind of just what they sound like. The law of increasing opportunity cost is as a production switches from one product to another, more resources are needed to increase the production of the second product. Okay, so if you're taking away resources, then you're going to need more resources if you want to keep the quantity of that product.
And then the price for that resource will go up.
Exactly. Absolutely. Okay, and like I put reasons, new resources, machines, Factories, okay, labor is going to be huge. Cost paid by making less and less of fewer products. And sometimes you just say it's not worth it. No one's buying the Bruno Mars CD, so we're not going to make it. We're going to stop producing it. Okay. Okay. Changing production possibilities. I just gave you an example. In the 1800s, you're gaining resources, with the Industrial Revolution, resources, workers, right? New technology that's totally going to change the production's possibility curve, right? That makes sense. You guys talking about the baby boomers. This is just an example. And that shift is going to shift the whole line outwards. Okay? Okay, I think we can go over that. And then this is what I talked about in the beginning. Micro is going to look at the individual, microeconomics, and then macroeconomics is going to look at the big, global aspect. Okay, how are we doing as a nation? Business cycle, are we going to increase taxes, decrease taxes, things like that. So that's it. Any questions?